Hope Radio.
Greetings, divine, all blessed, greetings and salutations. My live listening and calling number is area code 563-999-3763. Area code 563-999-3763. And I believe that's toll free, 563-999-3763. All is truly and indeed a blessing. I welcome you once again here at high noon U.S. Central Standard Time for another edition of Revolutionary Hoodoo, New Orleans Voodoo Secrets and Recipes, sharing with you in all things spiritual, mystical, metaphysical, cosmic, evolutionary, revolutionary, healing, and holistic from a Pan African Hoodoo world spiritualist perspective, understanding that all is truly and indeed a blessing. If you can just see beyond the veils, for it is all just an illusion and a test and one of the greatest divine mysteries of this life cycle. This is my constant prayer, my mantra, affirmation, reverberation, reiteration, and it is my ever living reality. It is crucial to the very foundation of my inner standing, my teaching, my walk, my work along this divine, all blessed life path and journey. And it is my personal place of power and inner standing, the place from where I begin, the place from where I realize and crystallize all my endeavors, understanding that I and I alone create and co create my divine destiny, and I alone create and co create my divine, all blessed reality. And so it is. Ashe. Welcome this. I forgot what day of the week it is. Friday, May 24th. Friday, May 24th, 2024. I'm certainly grateful and emanating and vibrating with you and for you now live, virtually, verbally, cosmically, quantum universally from this working temple of the House of the Divine Prince. I want to continue our discussion on voodoo and resistance, voodoo and revolution, certainly voodoo and evolution, empowerment, personal growth and development. And certainly that should be where we begin. We always begin with self. Some great poet once said, let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. And so, certainly in this realm of spirituality and religion, this so called realm of occult science and occult art and magic, I preference and prefer ethnic cultural practice and tradition. For indeed, when we look at Aboriginal and indigenous cultures throughout the world, we see the footprint of ethno-cultural practice and tradition, which often does involve spirituality, religion, how we do things, how we connect with nature, understanding always that voodoo is nature. It's not magic, it's not witchcraft, though it may appear to be. Some might use it as such, but it is indeed nature and our ability to connect with, adapt to, and give back to nature, and nature indeed gives back to us. There's a popular, well, it should be popular, viral story going around right now, particularly the last few days. It's on Los Angeles Times. It's on the Associated Press, the Observer, a Sacramento, California Observer. It's even on the foreignpolicy.com website. And it's the same material. It's just given, slightly nuanced titling, slightly nuanced naming, if you will. My preferred um, site for this particular article, anyway, is the Associated Press, and it includes a short video to accompany the document by Danica Koto, published between May 9th, May 10th, May 11th, again across several platforms. And she's talking about the voodoo faithful and their ability to sing, their voices rising above the gunfire erupting miles away as frantic drum beats drown out their troubles. And as I often preference, we must look at who the beloved Danica Kato is. Certainly, we understand the Associated Press, and they're going to give their flavor to a thing. So my job is to, sometimes you get that prepackaged food, you gotta reseason it, you gotta fix it up a little bit. So she continues on to say they pause to swig rum out of small brown bottles, which we know to be Bob and Court, often, 100-year bottles of Bob and Court rum, twirling in unison as they sing in Haitian Creole. We don't care if they hate us because they can't bury us. Shunned by publicity and publicly by politicians, intellectuals for centuries, voodoo is transforming into a more powerful and accepted religion across Haiti. And where its believers were once persecuted, increasingly they seek solace, protection, now from violent gangs that have killed, raped, and kidnapped thousands in the most recent years and most recent days. The violence has left more than 360,000 people homeless, largely shut down Haiti's biggest seaport, and closed the main international airport 2 months ago. And basic goods, including food, life saving medication, are dwindling. Nearly 2 million Haitians are on the verge of famine in face of many other distractions. Certainly, some distractions deserve a degree of priority, but historically, we don't hear the alarm bells sounding for Haiti until after the fact, or in jest, or in critique. And certainly, this situation is no different. From January of this year to March alone, more than 2,500 Haitians were killed or injured, up more than 50% from the same period last year, according to the UN. And amid the spiraling chaos, numerous Haitians are praying more or visiting voodoo priests known as Ogans, for urgent requests ranging from locating loved ones who were kidnapped to finding critical medication needed to keep someone alive. The spirits help you. They're always around you, said Shirley Nozus, who is initiated into a Mambo practitioner or a voodoo priestess. In February, she is said to have invoked Papa Ogu, god of war and iron, when 20 armed men surrounded her car and she tried to flee the country or the community of Bon Repos. Her 3 children and the 2 children of her sister, who died during childbirth, sat next to her. We are going to burn you alive, she recalled the gunmen yelling. Gangs had invaded their neighborhood before dawn, setting fire to homes amid relentless gunfire. I prayed to Papa Ogu. He helped me get out of the situation, Norzus said. When she opened her eyes, the gunmen signaled that she was free to leave. Voodoo was at the root of the revolution, as we've been discussing in previous podcasts, that led Haiti to become the world's first free, and some would say only free, Black republic in 1804, a religion born in West Africa and brought across the Atlantic through the Middle Passage to the enslaved populace. The synchronistic religion that melds and amalgamates Catholicism and Aboriginal culture with animist beliefs has no official leader or creed. It has a single god known as Bon Dieu, Creole for good God, and more than 1,000 spirits known as Loa, some that aren't always benevolent. And during voodoo ceremonies, loa are offered treats ranging from papayas and coffee to popcorn, lollipops, and cheese puffs. The ceremony is considered successful if a voodooist is possessed by a loa. Some experts consider it a religion of the exploited. Voodoo is the system that Haitians have developed to deal with the suffering of their life, a system whose object is to minimize pain, avoid disaster, soften losses, and strengthen the survivors as much as the survival instinct. Haitian sociologist Lynette Herbon wrote in a recent essay, Voodoo began to take shape in the French colony of Saint Dominique during funeral rites for enslaved people and dances called calendas that they organized on Sunday evenings. It also was practiced by slaves known as Maroons, who escaped to remote mountains and were led by Francois Mackendal, a noted voodoo priest, historically noted voodoo priest. In August 1791, some 200 slaves gathered at night in Bois-Caimon in northern Haiti for a voodoo ceremony organized by Duty Boukman, a renowned enslaved leader and voodoo priest. They sacrificed a pig, drank its blood, and swore to keep secret an imminent revolt against slavery, according to a surgeon present at the ceremony. So after a 13-year revolution, Haiti became independent, but voodoo remained oppressed, and thus the people and the nation continued to be oppressed. The country's new leaders condemned voodoo worship, as did the Catholic Church. Catholic leaders demanded parishioners take an oath renouncing voodoo. In 1941, my mother, for context, was born in 1942. Thousands of voodoo followers were lynched and hundreds of symbolic spaces destroyed in what became the most violent attack in Haiti's history against the religion, according to the journalist Herbert Noret, or Herbert Noret. But voodoo persisted, and when Francois Duvalier became president in 1957, he politicized the religion during his dictatorship, appointing certain Oguns as its representatives, Urban wrote. By 2003, Jean Bertrand Aristide, a Salesian priest who became Haiti's first democratically elected president, recognized voodoo as one of Haiti's official religions. And despite the formal recognition of voodoo, voodoo still remains shunned till this day by many Haitians. And when you say you are a voodooist, they stigmatize you, said Cadell Basile, a 42-year-old civil engineer. Until recently, Basile was a practicing Catholic. But when he lost his job and his wife left him nearly 2 years ago, a friend suggested he try voodoo. What I found here is spirituality and fraternity, he says. But here it's like being with family. He has said while attending a May 1st, 2024 ceremony for honor to Kozan Zaka, the Loa of the harvest. He identifies the most with Urzuli Dantor, the divinity of love, represented by a Black Madonna with scars or ethnic markings on her right cheek. That is the spirit who lives in me, he says. She's going to protect me. And as the ceremony started, Basile smiled and moved to the beat of the drums while dancers twirled nearby, their long earrings swaying to the rhythm. And voodoo is attracting more believers given the surge in gang violence and government interaction, said Cecile Elison, Isaac, Cecile Elian, Cecile Elian Isaac, a fourth generation Ogun. Where, whenever the community has a big problem, they come here because there's no justice in Haiti. You find it in the ancestral spirits, he said. And when Isaac opened his temple years ago in Port-au-Prince, about 8 families in the area became members. And now he counts more than 4,000 in Haiti and abroad. We have a group of intellectuals who have joined, he said. Before it was a people who couldn't read or write. Now it has more visibility. Credit, credited with that turnaround are thinkers like Jean Price Mars, whose 1928 book, Thus Spoke the Uncle, visualized voodoo as a religion without making the Haitian elite blush, wrote sociologist Louise Ampidou Clomio. Until the 1920s, Haitian voodoo was generally regarded as a string of superstitions, witchcraft, and ritual cannibalism, Clomios wrote, talking about voodoo considered a shame for Haitian intellectuals. Voodoo has since become a key ingredient in Haitians' rich cultural scene, inspiring music, art, writing, and dance. It's unknown how many people currently practice voodoo in Haiti, but there's a popular saying Haiti is 70% Catholic and 30% Protestant and 100% voodoo. Voodoo also has countless loas, although Ogu Jawuj, the god of red eyes, has grown more significant to Haitians given the lack of security in the country. It said Ero Josu, a singer, Ogan, and director of Haiti's National Bureau of Ethnology. Ogu Jowu is a manifestation of the god of war and is believed to wield a machete. They want power in their body and in their mind. Josu said of those who seek the god, whose spirits infuse believers with energy and hope. Voodoo priests warn they don't perform miracles. Much like I said, voodoo is not magic, voodoo is not witchcraft, uh, but it's indeed an act in association, an act in nature. So we're praying, but we're also taking precautions, Isaac said. There are a lot of loas to protect you from kidnapping. But if you walk through certain areas, no loa is going to protect you. On a recent afternoon, hundreds of Haitians gathered on a steep hill and squeezed into a small church to celebrate St. George, a Christian martyr believed to be a Roman soldier revered by Catholics and Voodooists alike. They offered him money and prayers in hopes they would make it through Haiti's deepening crisis. It's very important to be there, said Harvey Hippolyte, a chief who practices Christianity and voodoo. You find force, courage, and protection. Surrounding him was a sea of people clad in khaki and red, the saints' colors. Some held candles as a handful of women danced nearby. St. George, the priest leading the celebration, yelled. The crowd shouted in response, "We need you, St. George." Hosu, the singer, and Ogun, who denoted Hosu, the singer, and Ogun noted that some young people becoming voodooists are trying to change traditional prayers or certain practices. But he said Ogans and Mambos are not embracing the push. And we make them understand that those spirits are a symbol of resistance of the Haitian nation, he said. There's a lot of substance in voodoo that can lead to a renaissance of Haiti. Associated Press religion coverage received support through the Associated Press collaboration with the Conversation US with funding from Lilly Endowment Incorporated. The Associated Press is solely responsible for its content. Associated Press reporter Evans Senon contributed to this report. And as I often strongly suggest, we always pay attention to who's interpreting, who's writing the story, uh, who the hunter is in the case where the lion is not in control of its own narrative. And it really takes me back in mind to the earlier days before this uh, revolt uprising, showed up on many of our radar. Greetings, Kevin Brooks. Greetings, greetings. We certainly appreciate you. Um, it- you know, and we must give social media and certainly TikTok, some degree of credit for exposing beyond what's already hyper sensationalized in the news and in the media, and showing us, shadow areas like Uganda, like Sudan, and certainly like Haiti, which often go unnoticed, unheralded. The alarm bells don't seem to go off to the same degree of humanity as we can sometimes find in other regions of the world. And it took me back to November 10th, 2021. Um, Benjamin Hebblethwaite, what the kidnapper Wilson Joseph's costume says about Haitian politics. And he's referencing not a costume per se, but sacred garments used in voodoo, Haitian voodoo symbolism, Haitian voodoo ritual, Haitian voodoo practice, and particularly the usage of Bawan Samedi during a Fête Gede ceremony at the Cité Soleil Cemetery in Port-au-Prince, Haiti, on November 1st, 2018. And similarly, we have Fête Gede ceremony here in New Orleans, I believe November 1st every year. And it's usually facilitated at the Healing Center, I believe during, bouts of inclement weather. On the occasion, it might be held outdoors, but usually it's indoors at the Healing Center. And St. John's Eve is held outdoors on the bayou here in New Orleans. So back in November 2021, and particularly in a video statement that was released October 21st, 2021, William Joseph, the leader of the 400 Mawazo gang, dressed up as Baron Samedi, Voodoo's fearless spirit of death, threatened to kill members of the Haitian government, as well as 17 foreign hostages, including 5 children in Haiti on a Christian mission trip. They remained his captives. Why did Joseph adopt Bawan's trait? Beard, purple and black clothing, top hat, and silver cross to make these threats. The answer reveals how voodoo and Christianity remain perpetually entangled with Haiti's power and struggle in politics, even till this day. In the voodoo of Joseph, viewers see him standing on the street in Croix de Baquet. I pray I'm not slaughtering the Haitian Creole, a poor suburb in the northeastern Port-au-Prince, surrounded by attentive men at a public funeral for 5 gang members. Footage of the corpse in coffins was at the end of the original clip, which has been taken down by YouTube since then. And Joseph and his gang held this funeral in the open because they had taken control of Croix de Bourquet long before the bus full of missionaries drove through the town. And in his emotional statement given in Creole, Joseph first noted that Prime Minister Ariel Henry, former Prime Minister Claude Joseph, and former police chief Leon Charles had not yet paid their debts. He invoked a spell in the name of Baron Samedi and explained that he had wept over his 5 soldiers who were killed and whose open coffins he stood behind. Now the politicians would cry blood, he said, and vowed that he'd shoot those Americans, referring to the missionaries, one of whom is Canadian, if his demands, including a $17 million ransom, were unmet. And Joseph blamed the killings of his soldiers on the Haitian police and state, but he also seemed to view his killing of the missionaries as part and parcel of his revenge. To understand voodoo Christian tensions, let history serve as a guide. Article 3 of France's colonial Code Noir 1685, the Code Noir of 1685, forbade any religion other than the Roman Catholic and Apostolic faith from being practiced in public. Unlike Cuba, we've discussed in former shows, where they were asked or made to embrace, accept Catholicism, but they were given the space to adhere to their, Aboriginal traditions, to put it, in more politically correct language. Uh, According to the colonists, their, superstitious foolishness, but they were allowed to do so, allowing for a much more structured and organized demonstration than we often see in the traditions here north of the border. Um, Certainly during this particular time period, where a great deal of our practice was amalgamated or forced to go completely underground. So Haitian freedom fighters, unified by Creole, voodoo, and dreams of land ownership, achieved Haitian independence in 1804. Haiti's first Black ruler, Emperor Jean-Jacques Dessalines, 1804 to 1806, overlaps in voodoo mythology with the warrior spirit Ogu, and he is traditionally represented wearing Ogu's red garb. Today is Ose Ogu in the Ifa Yoruba tradition. Faustin Soluke or Soluke, 1847 to 1859, Haiti's second Black emperor, served the spirits and performed animal sacrifice for his deceased mother. Catholic, Protestant, and state-sponsored pogroms ensued in 1896 on a frequent basis between 1915 and 1934. For context, um, my father was born in 1938. So, on a frequent basis between 1915 and 1934, during the U.S. occupation, as well as under Stenio Vincent, 1830 to 1941, and his successor, Eli Lescott, or Eli Lescott, 1841 to 1846. Anti-voodoo laws were only dismantled in 1987. Okay, I graduated high school in 1983, 84, and um, yeah. So, given the history of Christian-led colonial violence and anti-voodoo legislation, it is no wonder that these old wounds between the religions continue to fester. And furthermore, the historical dynamic of enslaved voodooist and enslaver Christian is still present in the economic immiseration of most voodooists compared with the wealth of foreign and domestic Christians in Haiti. Stagnating in centuries of poverty, Joseph's Creole and voodoo cults have been systematically downtrodden in schools and public life by Haiti's wealthier Francophone and Catholic neo colonial elites. Donning clothing in purple and black, as Joseph did, draws on the traditional attire of Fête Gede, a celebration of the Loa spirit of death and fertility, collectively known as Gede, or the Gede family, that takes place on the eve of October 31st and on November 1st and November 2nd. During that holiday, often called Haiti's Festival of the Dead, people perform rituals and ceremonies for Gede and the dead. The Gede rite is one of at least 21 distinct rites in Haitian voodoo cosmology. While kings and armies of predatory African states raided and sold each other's populations to the European enslavers on the coast, in Saint Dominique, the French colony that became Haiti, the enslaved victims of that transatlantic industry unified within a confederating voodoo culture. Each rite in voodoo has canonical spirits, songs, traditions, thematic specializations, often representing a diversity of very specific ethno-cultural traditions throughout a diverse group of West African cultures. For instance, the Gede rite focuses on death, healing, sexuality, whereas the Rada rites focus on life, order, and rootedness. Drum rhythms, songs, dances, the personalities of spirits and mythologies are tied to specific rites. Rada's Aizan Valekete is sober, regal, and orderly. Nago's Ogu quaffs rum, puffs a cigar, and hollers bellicosely, while Gede gobbles down spicy food, pours rum in his ears, or grinds on the dance floor. Bawan Samdi and his wife, Granny Brigitte, are the chief spirits of the Gede rite, which includes Gede Nibo, Gede Nuvavu, Jean Jambi, Zambi Jean, and others. Haiti voodoo rites are connected to months of the year, seasons, with November for the Gede rite. On November weekends, voodoo communities hold Gede ceremonies to worship the Gede spirits with banda, drumming and dancing, singing, prayer, possession, performances, and feasting. People turn to these spirits for everything imaginable, but crisis often underlies their appeals. Okan priests and Mambo priestess are sought by the parents to call on Gede to heal sick children. Sex workers purchase Gede-related zombie astral or astro zombies to attract clients and to protect themselves from danger. The line between normative and non-normative traditions, as Catherine Smith points out, differentiates using spirits or zombies to heal and protect versus coercing them to harm people or to gain wealth at the expense of others. Some Ogan and Mambo refuse the Gede rights domains of non normative sorcery and magic, labeling those who use them as malficte or malfactor magicians. As the domain of death, relics, coffins, crosses, sexuality, miraculous healing, sorcery, and magic, Gede spirits present a complex religious and mythological universe with multiple paths of interpretation. Joseph, the leader of the 400 Mawaz- Mawozo, illustrates the usurpation and performance of Baron's mythology in Haitian game politics. We see a similar dynamic uh, with the saint of death. Um, it's on the tip of my tongue. In Mexico, we see who's acknowledged, not just a part of All Saints, All Souls Day rites, but we also see that footprint in the said to be in the cartel, and it's well documented. Often, when they raid these locations for these powerful cartels in Mexico and south of the border, you see these spirits that represent death and fertility often in these sacred spaces, and used similarly for protection and for fertility and prosperity as it relates to their illicit activity. Voodoo is central in Haitian rites of passage in helping people to heal sickness, in coping with trauma, in cathartic release, and in taking and maintaining power. And for instance, President Jovenel Moise assassination on July 7th precipitated several voodoo memorial ceremonies, as well as ceremonies focused on calling the Loa to bring justice to the slain president. Many of the gestures and rituals at these ceremonies, such as air stabbing around a photograph of the deceased president, or repeating the word justice while sacrificing a goat, beyond their literal role in sending spirits to carry out justice for a Muse, are cathartic rituals that help people progress and process trauma. So fundamental are voodoo cultural forms in Haiti that they exert significant influence over Christians as well, such as Protestants at one church in Pro de Bokor in October, who, in response to the spike in kidnappings, took to dancing with machetes and swords in themes that appropriated ancient dances of Ogu, the spirit of war and defense. Mose received a national funeral, but his internment in the familial mausoleum on Habitation Baudin Cape Haitian was accompanied by a voodoo ceremony during which dozens of Ogan and Mambo sang and wished his soul a good arrival in Guinan, the resting place of the souls and spirits. Haitian YouTubers mentioned that Muse served spirits such as Bosu Twakan, among others, and clearly his family wanted Ogan and Mambo to preside over the last rites of passage. Under different circumstances, therefore, Joseph dressing up as Bawan Samdi while invoking him at a funeral would theoretically reflect normative Haitian voodoo burial traditions, much like a second line would be traditional, normative uh, Black tradition here in New Orleans. For instance, burial services are sometimes bundled into a community's initiation fee. When a member dies, the entire community dresses in purple and black at the funeral, wearing sashes with the temple's name embroidered on them. However, dressing up as Berwan Samdi and invoking his name while threatening to kill members of the state and kidnap foreign missionaries reflects non normative and criminal coercions of Beran. Doing so repackages voodoo's mythology for the purpose of sacralizing the violence and political ambitions of neighborhood gang leaders. The Haitian director Francois Duvalier, or the Haitian dictator Francois Duvalier, who ruled from 1957 to 1971, also impersonated Beran Samedi, dressing up as the spirit and speaking in his nasal tone. Duvalier appropriated the spirit's grim reaper reputation, using mystification and fear to rally his native supporters around his Dua cult of personality. More broadly, Joseph is like other politicians in Haiti who use religion to advance political goals. Across Haitian history, voodoo is connected to anti colonialism, Haitian nationalism, and Black political rule. A folkloric, secularized variety of voodoo has long been politicized in Haiti, including at the state sponsored ceremony for the inauguration of the Marian Dam on May 1st. More cynical are the words and deeds of the G9 militia leader, Jimmy Barbecue Cherizier. His participation in a voodoo ritual to bring justice to Bousse while threatening the striking bourgeoisie and the Syriano-Libanese, Syrian and Lebanese descendants puts on raw display Haitian essentialism and racism in that the right tied so-called authentic power, the power of Cherizier envisions for himself to the traditions of Haiti's Black majority. And respected voodoo, Catholic, Islamic, and Protestant leaders and congregations exert considerable influence in Haiti's faith centric subcultures. Politicians and those who seek power in Haiti continuously lean on religion or various religions at once as they promote themselves politically. Consider the Salesian Catholic priest Jean Bertrand Aristide donning a stole with voodoo's rada drum, identified by the pegs, um, and the designs that are sort of stitched into the outer body of the drum. It yearns on it. I'm sorry, by the stitching on it, bears to bring and help elected Haitians 39th president in 1990, and he is pictured sort of standing in a church pulpit with what we would say is a preacher robe, but with this rada drum veve. I'm gonna call it what it is. It's a veve stitched on his garment while he holds the Bible above his head in a very voodoo-esque sort of stance and positioning. And these Catholic entanglements with power are no less complex than those of voodoo. On the one hand, Catholicism was the religion of French white supremacists in Saint Dominique, and mixed race and Black people were always under their oppression. Catholicism and power were nearly synonymous. Foreign Catholics have partnered with Haiti's mixed race elite and Black Haitian Catholics since the 1860 Concordant by sending French priests and advancing elite Francophone education. On the other hand, icons of Haitian political emancipation, from Toussaint Louverture to Aristide, have embraced forms of Catholicism to enhance their political power. And in the 1860s, the rise of liberation theology and the adaptation of the Creole language in sermons around fueled to power Aristide in the 1990 presidential election with 67% of the vote. In Haiti, people on normative as well as non-normative paths of power seize religious symbols to build their brand of power, to dog whistle, to justify violence, or to harden their authority. The vast voodoo religion, like any other, has legitimate public and private expressions, as well as illegitimate criminal subcultures. There is no shortage of people like Joseph, Islamist terrorists, or Catholic pedophile priests who manipulate religious symbols, words, and rites for self serving violence or political power. And Joseph is snatching up Baron Samedi's potent mythology and lore to construct himself as the victim and avenger of the Haitian state against so called foreign meddlers like the 17 missionaries who are still, I believe, held captive in Haiti today. I haven't seen a report or an update here of late of any movement in regards to that, other than just the continued deterioration of the island or that portion of the island shared with Dominican Republic and certainly the nation of Haiti and people's attempts at survival. Certainly, the more recent news is the Kenyan involvement. Kenya, I believe, funded by the U.S., is going in under the guise of providing some support for security within the nation to sort of bring about some order. So we must be careful with the priorities and distractions that are presented to us every day in the news, in the media, in social media, in our Instagram and TikTok spaces. And certainly we want to give attention where attention is needed and certainly a priority. But let's not overlook, let's not negate Uganda. Let's not overlook, let's not negate the Congo, the Democratic Republic of Congo, and many other crises that are taking place on the continent. Starvation in, I believe, parts of Ethiopia and Somalia once again. But certainly, this is a disaster, centuries in the making in Haiti and New Orleans being sister city to Haiti, it's important for me and my house, and certainly the other voodoo houses that I am interconnected with, that we acknowledge what's going on in Haiti through our support, through our love, um, when we can, through our funding and our financing and our resources. But certainly we can much easier get the word out, get the information out, share that knowledge. And so, again, I offer you this um, document, shunned for centuries. Voodoo grows powerful as Haitians seek solace for unrelenting gay violence. Um, Los Angeles Times, May 13th, 2024. The Associated Press can be found on their website. Uh, let's see. Shunned for centuries, voodoo grows powerful as Haitians seek solace for unrelenting gay violence. I'm sorry, not gay violence, gang violence. Um, the Observer, Sacramento, California, same title. I believe the article is pulled from the Associated Press, which probably was the originator of the articles. And what the kidnapper Wilson Joseph costume says about Haitian politics, November 10, 2021, foreignpolicy.com /2021 /11 /10 Haiti hyphen kidnapping hyphen voodoo hyphen Christianity hyphen religion hyphen politics. And we will continue our conversation in coming days with more receipts of the present and not just the awareness and documentation of voodoo and other so-called occult and spiritual practices being utilized right now in America from various communities and governments and organizations that we often don't associate with voodoo or don't associate, with magic and witchcraft. And it's well documented at the government level um, across the planet. It just takes a little digging and a little research to sort of pull it up. I most certainly am always humbled and appreciative by your listenership and your participation here at high noon U.S. Central Standard Time on Blog Talk Radio, blogtalkradio.com /the hyphen divine hyphen prince. And certainly in your social media neighborhoods where I can be visited, viewed, and listened to from LinkedIn to Facebook to Twitter, certainly my EarthCam page and many other places, Tumblr,
90 seconds.
I appreciate your listenership and certainly your participation. My live listening and call-in number is area code 563-999-3763. Toll-free area code 563-999-3763. Always at high noon U.S. Central Standard Time during live airing
60 seconds.
Only. You can enjoy me in archive by way of blogtalkradio.com /the hyphen divine hyphen prince. And certainly you can view and listen by way of YouTube. And please subscribe, become a paid supporter and subscriber by way of my YouTube page, youtube.com /at sign the divine prince. You could also youtube.com /voodoo tie, V like Victor, OODOOTYE, youtube.com /voodoo time. Until
10
next time,
seconds.
remembering that all is truly and indeed a blessing. If you can just see beyond the veils, for it is all just an illusion and a test. And one of the greatest divine mysteries of this lifetime. Ashe, Asheo, and Ashe. Greetings, Danielle, Neil, greetings and salutations. Thank you so much for coming by, and all of those who I can see and those who I cannot see. I'm always eternally grateful for your participation, your support, your listenership. Feel free to shoot me an email at Divine Prince. That's DIVINEPRINCE at houseofthedivineprince.com. houseofthedivineprince.com. Beloveds, if you see me in Twitter, if you see me in TikTok, and it's not spelled that way, it's a fraud. DIVINEPRINCE at House of the Divine Prince, like one word.com. All is truly and indeed a blessing. Until next time, Ashe, Asheo, and Ashe.
Congo Square. The Omas Indians prepared this place for us centuries before our arrival. A sacred spot where corn festivals were celebrated. The Omas Indians prepared this place for us centuries before our arrival. Congo Square, a sacred spot where corn festivals were celebrated. And as the colonizers came, our hosts, the Omas Indians, they pushed aside our hosts. The colonizers came and pushed aside our hosts and introduced us in chains. And by the late 1700s, we somehow, recognizing the sacredness of Les Places de Congo, we somehow, and the how of our somehow persuasive methodologies is not clear at this moment. The how is not clear. How our persuasive methodologies work is not clear at this moment, but nevertheless, even as slaves, we crafted and created a space where we could be free to be we. And thusly we countered the sacrilegiousness of the French, giving great homage to our ancestors as well as giving praise and thanks to our red-blooded brothers and sisters. This is an oral libation toast to Congo Square, to Native Americans, to our ancestors who made a circle out of a square and gave us a way to save ourselves from the transformatory ugliness of America, which refuses to recognize the spirituality of life, which refuses to recognize the spirituality of life and celebrates death with crosses, double and triple crosses, the middle passage, the first cross, Christianity, the double cross, and capitalism, the ultimate triple coup de grace cross of our captivity. But the terror of crosses notwithstanding, we sang, we beat, we was and is. Hail Congo Square. Congo Square. Our African gods have not been obliterated. They have merely retreated inside the beat of us. Inside the beat of us. Our African gods have not been obliterated. They have merely retreated inside the beat of us until we are ready to release them into a world that we recreate. A world held by the beating of black hawk drum. Heartbeat, heartbeat, heartbeat. At this place, beat, heartbeat, beat, we beating place in new world space, being in place in new world, preserving our ancient pace. Our dance is the God walk, our music the God talk. First thing we do, let's get together, circle ourselves into community. No beginning, no end, connected together and singing, ringing, singing in a ring. Second, let's be original, aboriginal. Be what we were before we became what we are. Be bamboola dance, be banda music, and sing song words which have no English translation. Third, let us remember. Let us remember never to forget. Even when we can't remember the specifics, we must retain the essentials. Let us remember never to forget. Even when we can't remember the specifics, we must retain the essentials. The bounce, the blood flow, the feel, the spirit grow, energy must retain and pass on the essential usness that others want to dissipate out of us. But no matter how much of us they prohibit, no matter how much of us they prohibit, deep inside us is us. Deep inside us is us. Remains us inside and needs only the beat to set us free. The beat to free us. It is morning, a Sunday, a field without shade, but dark with the people black of us in various shades, eclipsing the sun without elegance. We are centuries later now, and still this sacred ground calls us to remember, to be. We are centuries later now, and still this sacred ground calls us to remember, to be, beat Congo Square. Be Congo Square. Beat beat Congo Square. Be Congo. Be. 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 Remember. Remember. Remember.
Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.